Wind Circulation Wind Tour is a piece of music that, if you don't understand Zun's unique method of modulation, is pretty unintelligible. This is mainly because the modulations that take place in this piece are hyper-specific to his style. Starting out at the beginning of the piece, we have which is a chord progression that is featured a lot in Seiho, Touhou 6, that era of early Zun music. It's also very popular in later Zun music, like Touhou 18, 19, and 17 as well. You could call it the lament embellishment, because if you get rid of every other chord, you get... sounds like a lament. But all you're doing is adding in a chord in between each one. And it's also used in a classical setting to avoid all parallel fifths. It's a very Chopin sounding thing. It's pretty much the whole thing. Moving on from that, we have the A section. In this section, we have flat 6, 7, 1, which repeats, but then from there, 1 goes down to flat 1. And it might seem unusual. How could you possibly use a flat 1 chord? Well, in this very specific context, it actually makes a lot of sense. That's because flat 1 is functioning as flat 6. And then from there, we're going to do a very common Touhou progression. Flat 6, flat 7, 1. Flat 6, flat 7, flat 6, 5. And now we're at flat 6 of the original key. So this is our next Touhou modulation. This one is called the drop tonic. There's a couple ways to think about drop tonic modulations. Functionally, we have a predominant moving to a dominant to a tonic. And then we drop down to our flat 1, which feels like our new flat 6. And then we do predominant, dominant, tonic. So it's the same thing. The nice thing is that we have two predominant dominant pairs in this progression here. And this one resolves here and this one resolves here. And so he's just playing with these two predominant dominant pairs that are going on. And this chord comes from the minor parallel secondary chords. The minor parallel secondary chords are sort of sandwiched in between the minor secondary and the minor tertiary chords. And as we can see, those are the predominant dominant pairs that are in use in this progression. Another way to look at predominant dominant pairs in this piece is to map them onto the minor third grid. They kind of appear on this little upward part of the minor third grid, which is a place that we haven't talked about very much. this flat 6, flat 7 resolves to, as I said, 1. While this flat 6, flat 7, the flat 1, flat 2, will resolve to minor flat 3. And the distance between 1 and minor flat 3 is a minor third. This is why we call it the minor third grid. I know I've used this terminology minor third grid before, but this is actually the reason why it's a minor third grid, because if we go up this whole progression, the whole minor third grid, we get you can just keep going up. And what Zun's doing is using only a certain amount of the minor third grid. The minor third grid is used all over the Touhou project. And every single time we get flat 6, flat 7, or 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, or flat 6, flat 7, flat 1, flat 2, or anything like that, that's all utilizing the minor third grid. So the drop tonic is recontextualizing flat 1 as flat 6 of minor flat 3. But in this case, in order to modulate back out of the key, he moves from flat 6 of minor flat 3 to 5 of minor flat 3, which is, in context, flat 7 of D minor, which was the original key. D minor. But instead of going back to D minor, he moves deceptively back to flat 6. And that's how he restarts the progression. Five, which is flat 7 of the original key, which then goes to 4 of the target key, which is flat 6 of the original key. And that's shown here, how the flat 7 goes back to flat 6 deceptively. Now, the whole second A section is the exact same thing as the A section, but just moved up a whole step. And then we get kind of a crazy transition. So let's understand the crazy transition. We have a G minor 7 chord, which is minor flat 3 in E minor. So what was E minor? It was the second key area, right? It was the key of the A section. The A section was flat 6, flat 7, 1 of E minor, and then we had a drop tonic, which put us on flat 1, which became flat 6. And then we went flat 6, flat 7, 1, which put us on G minor. But instead of going back to the original key, he repeats the G minor. So it's like we're now staying in G minor, but what does he do with that G minor? He does another drop tonic. He goes from 1 to flat 1 again, which puts us in the key of B flat minor, because now we're on flat 6 of B flat minor, because we were on G minor 7, and now we go to G flat major 7, which is flat 1, and that becomes flat 6. G flat is flat 6 of B flat minor. then there's kind of just a direct modulation back. This final section is another blue, red, green, which, everything in this piece other than that introduction is blue, red, green, because every single progression in the entire piece is just a flat 6, flat 7, 1. This is what makes this piece so good as a showing of Zun's musical style, because every single progression and every single movement is derived from flat 6, flat 7, 1. Flat 6, flat 7, 1 is the essence of Zun's composition, and the vast majority of his progressions are derived from it in some way. Even the opening progression. In a way, if you get rid of the embellishment, we have the lament, which we talked about. The lament embellishment is a version of the lament. Well, the lament, if we do it backwards, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. So even the opening progression is somewhat derived from a flat 6, flat 7, 1. And as we can see here, I'm showing the direct modulation, which is kind of an unusual modulation. It's from minor flat 6 directly back to minor 1, which is not a very comprehensive modulation. It's a major third away, and it's from one minor key to another minor key, which that's kind of a complicated relation. I don't think there's any internal logic behind it. This isn't something that he commonly does. He just directly modulates back because he's in a really distant key. And the reason why he's in a really distant key is because he moved up a major second from the A section to the second A section, which put him in a weird key once he did another drop tonic. So that's it for this video. The footage playing now is actually me sucking at Touhou 9.5. It's been a while. I used to be good at this game. I spent many hours on it. It's actually my favorite Touhou game. I really like the photography games, except for Violet Detector, but you could have guessed that. I actually like the final week of Violet Detector when I'm not teleporting, because teleporting is not fun in that game. I don't actually hate Touhou. I actually enjoy playing Touhou, especially when I have unlimited lives, like in Touhou 9.5 and 12.5. So I realize this is a short video, but that's really it. I don't want to drag it out anymore. Donate to my Ko-Fi, please. There's all my charts up there. There's all my diagrams. If you have any questions about this, put them in the comments. I have a Discord server. You can join that if you'd like. And that's it. Good evening, and see you in 2 weeks.